Hey guys, so I have been doing all sorts of stuff today. I harvested the biggest harvest I think I've ever done in one day. A ton of beans. I picked gobs of tomatoes. Most of them are fully ripe. There's a couple that weren't quite ripe, but I am dealing with so much pest pressure that sometimes if I see a tomato and it's not 100% ripe, I'm going to go ahead and pick it, and I'm just going to let it sit on the counter for a day or two to let it finish ripening, because quite frankly, I'm losing a lot to pests this year. The pests are insane. I'm dealing with stuff I've never seen in my garden before. I have had armyworms before in my asparagus. I've never had them going after my tomatoes. I lost count how many armyworms I killed today. It's utter madness. So I also picked zucchini and some okra, a little bit big. That's what happens when you go out of town. But I also got these. It's just a handful of them. But I had a Chinese noodle bean volunteer come back on the trellis arch that they grew on last year, and look, I got some Chinese noodle beans. And the ones that I did plant are finally taking off, some of them anyways, and it looks like I'm finally going to get some beans out of those as well. They're not flowering yet, but they're finally growing and heading up that trellis. So this is the hot and heavy time of the year. Preserving, canning, dehydrating, freezing. I do not want any of this to go to waste. So today is going to be a food preserving and canning sort of day today. First up on the list, you can see them down there in the sink, are zucchini. I'm going to can up some zucchini, then I'm going to work on some green beans, and after that it's going to be tomatoes. As you saw, I picked a ton of them. Thankfully, tomatoes don't ripen quite as quickly as green beans, so I don't have to pick tomatoes every single day. But the beans I have to stay up on, the zucchini gotta really keep an eye on, and there are so many things happening in the garden right now. It's almost overwhelming, but it's a good problem to have, right? Now, zucchini is one of those things that often people will have an abundance of and not know what to do with. And like I just mentioned, you can it for future recipes. You can put it in soups, you can drain it and then roast it. So there's lots of things that you can do with it, make zucchini bread out of it. But I do have several recipes if you want to eat it fresh. There's a lot more ways to make zucchini other than just zucchini bread. If you are subscribed to my newsletter, I sent out a mailing yesterday that shared several of my, and Ava's rubbing on the tripod, where I shared several of my favorite recipes for using summer squash zucchini. I shared a snack recipe, a side dish recipe, a main dish recipe, and a dessert recipe. So if you are not already subscribed to my newsletter, be sure to subscribe to that. It's an all new newsletter, a whole new look, and lots of great information, timely recipes and articles and all of that. So I am going to get started on the first canning of the day. Hey guys, so I was pretty much working in the house all day today. This morning, after I did my normal morning chores, I did go out and pick some beans. I picked all the beans that were ready to be picked. I'm sure there will be more tomorrow morning. And then I pretty much spent the whole rest of the day in the kitchen. Did some canning. I canned zucchini, then I canned some green beans. And when we planted our green beans out there in the in-ground garden, we planted them on the cattle panel trellises, and they definitely needed to have been on arches. They needed a lot more growing room because they have grown to the top of the trellises. They have wrapped themselves all around each other and then are all the way down to the ground again. Some of the tops, or some of the areas of the tops of the beans, are just this jumbled up, knotted mess. And so I don't know how many more of the beans I'm going to get. Now the purple pod pole beans are still doing good. I mean, I'm still getting a good bit out of there. They are slowing down a little bit. And the NT half runners, they're really struggling with the not having room to grow. And so I have a feeling that I'll end up actually pulling all of those out, redoing the trellises and replanting. It is now July, of course, and here in northern Alabama we do have a very long growing season, and so we can actually replant beans and grow them all over again. And so I may end up doing that because I do want to have enough that I can can them. And I did can a few today, but it's not as many as I would like. I'd like a whole lot more of those green beans getting canned and put up in the pantry. So that is probably going to be in the works here before too long. But check out that Lemon Queen sunflower back there behind me. I mean, that thing just popped open like popcorn. I mean, there's just all those flowers all over there. So pretty. Some of my tomato plants are really starting to struggle, especially in the in-ground garden, the no-till garden, and I will actually be pulling some of those plants out here in the next few days. Now I did get to harvest several tomatoes out there, which last year was the first year we had planted in those garden beds, and I didn't really get to harvest anything out of those. The pest pressure, the illness, the blight kind of stuff, it just took it over really quick. This year it held off a little bit. I have been able to harvest some tomatoes. Some of the plants are still doing okay. Some of them are just toast. So I will go ahead and pull those out and kind of amend the soil and make room to grow something else. Another thing that will be happening this coming week is we will be adding some of our compost to that big bed that we have set up, that I have tarped off, and we will be tilling that because this will kind of be a new bed. We'll be tilling it up, adding in the compost, and then we will be planting corn. While I'm out here in the front area, I'm going to walk over here and check on my my goji berries. Ooh, something is eating it. Oh no. Well, this is not good. I know it's kind of getting a little bit dark, so you might have a hard time seeing this. But this goji berry bush had two little like trunks of sorts, and this one is completely stripped bare. Ah! I'm gonna have to come out here tomorrow while it's light and take a good look and see if I can figure out what is eating this. That is terrible. I'll go check my other one. Alright. Alright, well this one's looking okay. I mean, it's got some grass thrown up on there where I mowed nearby, but it's looking alright. I really hope these things make it. That stinks. I'm telling you, the pest pressure this year, it has been absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I thought it was bad last year. Ain't got nothing on this year. So, but in any case, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. But very quickly, before I let you go, I just have to show you what I saw today while I was in the kitchen doing all of my processing, and what I saw when I looked out the window. So that was adorable, absolutely adorable. We do have some cameras set up out there, and so hopefully we can get some good shots of the little baby deer out there. I love seeing those. So that is it for today. Thanks for hanging out with me here at the homestead. Tomorrow I actually have a friend coming over. She's going to be doing some canning with me, and I am going to see if she will let me film the process so that I can share that with all of you as well. So thanks again for hanging out with me here. My name is Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. I'll talk to y'all next time.